here's what we're looking at, and Aiden just had it up a second ago. I'll have him throw it up again really quickly. This is the offense. This is where things stand with the offense right now, Chop. The Cowboys currently have one quarterback on their roster, and that's just Dak Prescott. Going to need to flesh out the depth there. If you're looking at the list of names that we have up on the fan cam right now on offense, names in blue are players who have fewer than 5 career starts.
Man, look at this work that Robert Montgomery Belt put in. He even color-coded the names.
It's if they're in blue, that's fewer than 5 career starts. If they're in red, that means that they are not expected to be available at the beginning of the season. So when you look at the list of players right now for the Cowboys, they have one quarterback on the roster. That's Dak Prescott. They now have 4 running backs: Miles Sanders, Javonte Williams, Deuce Vaughn, Hunter Lipke. Receiver is barren right now. And that's something where if this Cooper Kupp issue is real, you have just upgraded in a big way and addressed, to me, potentially your biggest blinking light need right now.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Does getting Kupp take receiver off the board at 12?
I don't think it should. I think it might.
Okay.
Because to me, I mean...
So you're saying that... I'm sorry. You're saying they would go on a kind of more on a need base then?
So the Cowboys, their general philosophy that we've seen before is that they're all about contingencies. Let's cover our bases. Let's do as much as we can to kind of make sure that we're not in a position to have to pick anything, and then we can just pick the best player available. They have so many needs this year. I don't know how possible it's going to be for them to just cover all their bases with free agency additions.
Okay.
Now, they've made a lot. They have signed a number of players. Are they big-time names? No, unless they get Kupp. But these are they're making active additions here.
Other than quarterback, 'cause I assume quarterback is off the board at 12. What else is off the board?
I don't think they would take a tight end, but they might. Outside of that, tight end, quarterback's probably off the board. I know Sean wants to have the discussion at some point of if Shador's sitting there, what do you do? And we'll have that talk. Otherwise, nothing.
If Warren is there at 12, you don't think they go there?
I don't think so. I think they just have so many needs.
They do.
And so it's hard to see. So let's take a look at this inventory right now. CeeDee Lamb, Jonathan Mingo, Jalen Tolbert, Kevontae Turpin, Jalen Brooks, Ryan Flanoy. That's your receiver core right now.
Yeah.
That's not good enough.
Yeah, and the reason we're talking Kupp is the report this morning from Schefter that there's the Cowboys are one of the 2 teams that are the late comers that he is kind of interested in along with Seattle.
Yeah, so Schefter reported that they were the dark horse that was really pushing strong today. Rossini came behind and said it's pretty much, it sounds like it's down to Dallas or Seattle.
And we just don't know what the money would be.
Yeah. But, I mean, ultimately, this is about Cooper Kupp determining who was right, DeMarcus Lawrence or Micah Parsons.
Right. That's right. Now, if they give him, what number will make you upset? You'll be like, ooh, too much.
I mean, if they pay, I don't know that anything will make me upset. They've got cap room right now after they've flipped switches. So they would have to, let me see what the top of the market is. They would have to probably give him 20 a year for me to be upset. Otherwise,
top of the market's like 36.
No, I know, but I'm saying, like, in terms of what's realistic, probably 20. Right now, the receivers that have been paid so far out of free agency, if you were to pay him...
DK got 30 a year.
Devontae Adams got 22. If you paid him Devontae Adams money, I'm probably going to have an issue with that. But even so, it's not even a big issue. Because it's something where I would imagine they'll have an escape hatch after a year or two, and they've got money to spend right now. They've got flexibility to do it. So Kupp would be a huge addition for them right now. Tight end, they've got Jake Ferguson and Luke Schoonmaker. Behind that, Brevin Spanford, Princeton Fant, John Stevens. They like all those guys. Yeah. Their tackle group is really inexperienced right now. They've got 6 tackles on the roster. Awesome Richards, Earl Bostic, Nathan Thomas, Matt Waletzko, and then Guyton and Steele. Those first 4 I named, Richards, Bostic, Thomas, Waletzko, they've never started a game. I think Richards has started 1. But then you've got Guyton and Steele. Steele, who's still coming off of an injury, it feels like, and still trying to work his way back. It's good news that they've got a new offensive line coach here because Steele did not work well with Mike Solari. I think there's a lot of people in the building at the Star in Frisco who believe Mike Solari hampered Terrence Steele. So hopefully Connor Riley's able to step in, get the most out of Guyton and Steele. Your guards, Tyler Smith, Brock Hoffman, Robert Jones, who you just signed, TJ Bass, all of them starting experience. You're good there. Cooper Beebe at center, and then Dakota Shepley. So that's your offense right now. You need to add a quarterback of some sort, and you're probably going to draft a running back.
From the 817, Kupp is better than Adams. Yeah, definitely can't pay him that, though. And then from the 682, the signing of Sanders and Javonte, if Genty is there at 12, does that change anything for them?
I don't know that they were going to take Genty at 12 anyway.
Okay.
Just because we heard it. We were standing out there at Brian Schottenheimer's press conference, and he told us he hadn't even watched Genty yet. I mean, if you haven't even seen Genty and dove in on it, then that told me, okay, they haven't prioritized it enough. Mm-hmm. That doesn't sound like that's who they're interested in. So I think the debate there is just, is he good enough to break a rule of ours? And that's the question. But quarterback, I would expect them to potentially add through free agency or trade. They may have to draft somebody. They've got to add somebody. They can't just have Dak on the roster. I would expect them to draft a running back at some point, just not at 12. And then they still need to add a receiver or two for competition here. All right, let's throw up the defensive side of the ball, Aiden, really quickly. And remember, names in blue have fewer than 5 starts in their career. Names in red are not expected to be available. So edge rushers, Nealand and Parsons are the only edge rushers on your team that have more than 5 career starts. Peyton Turner, who they just added, the former first-round pick, 0 career starts. Sam Williams, who's been here for a few years now, missed all the last year, 0 career starts. Then you have Tyrus Wheat and Darrell Johnson. That's thin. You need some edge rush help.
Yeah.
Defensive tackle, Osa Odigizua, Mozzie Smith, Solomon Thomas, Justin Rogers, who they drafted, cut at the end of training camp, got picked up by the Bengals, and then they signed him away from the Bengals practice squad at the end of the year. And so he's on the active roster right now. It's a starting point. I would still expect them to add a defensive tackle somewhere, probably in the draft. Linebacker's a little concerning right now. DeMarvion Overshown is not going to be ready for the beginning of the season. We don't know when he'll be back.
Your best guess on him? Would you be surprised if October 1st rolls around and he's not ready?
No, I would be surprised if he plays anytime before December. And
because it was Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, I would be stunned if he plays before December. I would be surprised if he plays next year. I think he's taking a redshirt year next year. That's what I think. I know he's not saying that. I know he's saying otherwise. I think he's saying he'll be back in November. That's a big ask to me.
They're basically going to have one cheap year out of him.
Yeah, essentially. Although if he doesn't play next year, his contract tolls and he becomes a restricted free agent. Because if he doesn't end up playing, then that changes. That's what happened with Jalen Smith. Maris Leofau at linebacker, Kenneth Murray, Jack Sanborn. Those are your 2 new additions there. Damone Clark, and then Buddy Johnson. There are bodies there. You've got starting experience with Leofau, Murray, Sanborn, Clark, but it's not a group that I think strikes fear into the eyes of anybody. I think Matt Eberflus will push for more linebackers. Corner, you have 7 of them right now, but Trayvon Diggs and Josh Butler are not going to be ready for the start of the season, it doesn't seem like. CJ Goodwin is a special teamer. Keeman Hall is a guy who's never started before. So you've got Kalen Carson, who was brutal at times last year, even though they thought highly of him. Kyer Elam, who you just traded for and has struggled in Buffalo as a former first-round pick, and Bland. You need to go find a nickel somewhere.
Yeah.
You've got to find that. Your safeties are Malik Hooker, Marquise Bell, Donovan Wilson, and Wanye Thomas. Solid group there. They gave Marquise Bell a decent amount of money. And he had it's $4 million a year. I think it was 3 years, $12 million. He ended his season with a shoulder injury last year. That's when Bones Fossil got really emotional afterwards. That would be a lot of money to just pay a special teamer, I feel like. So I think they've got plans for Marquise Bell. And then, of course, you have your special teams unit there with Brandon Aubrey, Brian Anger, and Trent Sieg. But as you look at things right now, a lot of inexperience at defensive end, not a lot of encouraging depth at corner and linebacker. Very, very thin right now. They could honestly throw a pick anywhere on defense, and I don't think people would complain.